Greetings, people of the interwebs. Jake here, and welcome to another edition of Metal Mondays. So, basically, if you have not watched any of the previous Metal Mondays, it is essentially just me giving recommendations or wanting to spotlight a particular band, song, album, whatever it may be. And so, as you can tell probably by the title of this video, I'm going to be spotlighting one band, because the previous episodes I've spotlighted multiple, but I want to focus on one band in particular this episode, because they have become probably one of my favorite metal bands post, 1980s. So what I kind of considered, the classic and really the golden age for metal. Because that was when metal was at its peak. So without further ado, we go into Amorphis. So Amorphis are a band from Finland, which actually, fun fact about Finland, is it has more metal bands than, or I think it's, per capita, or, yeah, I think it's per capita than any other band, any other country in the world. So pretty impressive for a decent-sized country of a population of 5.5 million. But, digressing. So, all that to say, Amorphis are primarily, I would consider them melodic death metal band, especially their earlier stuff. They've gotten a little bit more, I don't know, still definitely melodic, maybe a little less death metal to a degree, but also another reason why I want to spotlight this band is so they've got 13 albums. First one was released in 1992, The Corellianismus / Privilege of Evil. And then their most recent album, all the way in 2022, Halo. So 13 albums, and really not a bad one, in my opinion. Maybe, in my opinion, their weakest one is their 2003 album, Far From the Sun. Not a bad album, but it's just compared to probably the most well-known and most popular album is Tales from a Thousand Lakes / Black Winter Day, which has their most favorite song, Black Winter Day, which this album in particular, I think, is melodic death metal at its finest. This is a perfect 10 out of 10 album, not a weak track on it, so many good songs like Black Winter Day, The Castaway, Magic and Mayhem, Moon in the Sun Part 2, The North Sun, and yeah, that's, again, especially if you're into melodic death metal, and if you haven't heard this album, definitely give it a go, because in my opinion, it's one of the best, out there. And even taking out of the, subgenre of death metal, it's melodic death metal, to me, it's still a phenomenal album, because again, 10 out of 10, not a weak track on the album, it's solid. And then, I believe it was also, they've had two singers, so the original singer, Pasi Kaskinen, and then their current singer, Tomi Jutsen, who I think is a better singer, even though I like Pasi's style. Tomi has a lot more range, or at least that I've heard from him compared to Pasi in the previous albums. Because that dude he can belt out some awesome growls, but he also has a really good melodic, clean voice as well. And he can kind of seamlessly just go back and forth between the two. So he was actually a great addition. I believe it was Eclipse with the first album that he joined in 2006, which Eclipse is also another solid album. You've got House of Sleep, Perkele, God of Fire. Another thing too with this band is a lot of the lyrics delve into Finnish mythology, and me being a fan of history, mythology, and all that stuff. Another reason why I love this band, because I get my heavy metal fix and I get a history lesson in the process. They also have The Smoke, Brother Moon, and then the follow-up album was it's hard to pick a favorite, but it's probably one of my favorite of the 13. Easily top 3 probably is Skyforger, because again, it's another 10 out of 10 album. I mean, you've got Sampo, Silver Bride, which also the music video for Silver Bride is solid. Definitely check that out. From the Heaven of My Heart, Majestic Beast, Skyforger, incredible album. And the Red Cloud, 2015. Yeah, 2015. The self-titled song, Under the Red Cloud, Death of a King, Sacrifice. Trying to just give recommendations all across the board here, but their 1996 album, Elegy, again, another solid one, because you've got Better Unborn, Against Widows, The Orphan, My Kantala, and then you also have My Kantala Acoustic Reprise, which is also really solid. But yeah, I mean, Halo, Queen of Time, Under the Red Cloud, Circle, Beginning of Time, Skyforger, Eclipse, Far from the Sun, Universum, Twanella, Elegy, Tales from a Thousand Lakes, and then of course their debut album, The Corellian Isthmus and Privilege of Evil. All incredible works, and I especially love, and I know that this is kind of standard of melodic death metal, but I really, really love how they add like keyboards and synthesizers to to some of their songs, like Black Winter Day. Because it's not something that I hear frequently with like melodic death metal. I feel like it's there are definitely some bands that implement that, like Opeth, like keyboards and a little bit of like synthesizers and stuff like that. But I don't know. I think when it's done right, just adds another like extra layer, just a little adds a little extra something to it. But yeah, this is I could probably listen to a lot of these albums, like in particular like Tales from a Thousand Lakes. I could probably listen to that like once a week, never get tired of it. Same thing with like Skyforger, um, Queen of Time, Under the Red Cloud, Eclipse, Elegy, and Far from the Sun. It's probably again not a bad album, but I think it's my least favorite just because it's the one that I've listened to the least out of them. So it may just be after a few more listens it'll grow on me more like the others, but again, even for 13 albums, if they have one that's still good or even just okay, that's still really impressive. Because a lot of bands, unfortunately, even some of my favorite bands growing up, where they have like maybe their first four albums are really good, and then that's when you start to see the gradual decline. Or even some of my favorite bands where they've kind of had fluxes in their careers for like their first five or six or something like that are solid. Then maybe they have like a couple that are just okay before they kind of pick back up again. So for a band that's been going for like 30 plus years, 13 albums, they're still going strong, and they're also one of those bands that I keep up with on a regular basis. Of any time a new album comes out, I make sure that that's like the first album I listen to the day it comes out. Because again, there's a lot of bands I listen to, and I like a lot of bands, but I don't always keep up with some of them as much as I do bands like Amorphis, where, like I said, probably one of my favorite bands post 1980s, and a lot of it is just due to their consistency with not just album releases, but consistency and quality. So, if for whatever reason you have not heard of this band, would highly, highly recommend, especially if you like a bit of folk metal, like a little bit of melodic death metal. I feel like you can't really go wrong. Again, even if some of these albums aren't for you, like maybe their newer stuff you don't like as much because it's maybe not quite as mellow death as like Tales from a Thousand Lakes, but even still, they've got a nice blend in their newer stuff of like kind of softer, more melodic songs, and they've got their just super heavy, like growly songs. For those of you who like that, so I think they have a nice blend. In general, older albums and newer albums, maybe a little more balance in their new albums, but all that to say, I think this band has a little bit of everything for just about any metalhead. So that wraps up my brief spotlight on Amorphis, and why you should listen to them. And if you have listened to them, let me know your favorite song, your favorite album, and let's discuss in the comments section. So that wraps up this video, and until next time, everyone, cheers.